Would a strike by the U.S. in Syria be a violation of international law and the Charter, in your opinion?
In your opinion? Of course it is. Even the threat of a use of force is a violation of a charter, let alone the strike itself.
Over here.
Ambassador, what do you think about the Swedish draft?
Whatever I thought about the Swedish draft, I think that the priority of the Security Council now, and the meeting was about threats to international peace and security, that aggressive policies of certain permanent council members are having, and preparations that they are making. This is a clear violation of the UN Charter. The threat to international peace and security is a violation of the UN Charter. We are very concerned with the situation, with the dangerous escalation. We hope that there will be no point of no return, that the US and the allies will refrain from military action against a sovereign state. You understand that the danger of escalation is higher than simply Syria, because our military are there on the invitation of the Syrian government. So the situation is very dangerous, and we made it very clear at the consultations.
What does the Russian Federation think about the Swedish proposal?
Look, we just had the Swedish proposal today. We didn't have time to study it. I said at the consultations that we are grateful to Sweden for trying to come up with the text on the attribution mechanism. But frankly, in the circumstances we are finding ourselves now, this is not an immediate priority. The immediate priority is to avert the danger of war. As to the Swedish text, we will study it. But the second priority now is for the OPCW mission to reach Damascus and Duma and to see what's really happened. That is second priority on the list. And the third would be a discussion of the mechanism.
And do you have a timetable on that?
You just mentioned that you want to avert the danger of war between the US and Russia.
Look, we cannot exclude any possibilities, unfortunately, because we saw messages that are coming from Washington. They were very bellicose. They know we are there. I hope, I wish there was a dialogue through appropriate channels on this to avert any dangerous development.
And Ambassador, what about the meeting that I heard that you will call for a meeting with the SG?
I said yes. Good question. Good question. We said that it would be appropriate that we have an open briefing of the Security Council with the participation of the Secretary General, because when we find ourselves in a situation of a threat to international peace and security, this is exactly the time when we need to hold it openly and with the participation of the Secretary General of the organization.
When do you want that to happen?
I cannot give you an exact hour, but it will be soon. I will not dwell upon when exactly, but in the near future.
You guys doing deconfliction talks at all about possible strikes? It's been reported that there's some talk about actually logistics. If the U.S. were to strike, avoiding Russian casualties, are such talks taking place?
The last part of the question.
So the idea is to have a discussion so that if the U.S. were to fire, that Russian casualties could be avoided or minimum.
We want any strikes to be avoided in the first place. But of course, it is even unthinkable to think that the U.S. would strike something which is Russian military presence in Syria.
Mr. Ambassador, the OPCW...
Do you want to ask my colleague? He asked for a meeting today.
The OPCW has said that their investigators are going to start working on Saturday. Are you going to make sure that they get to Duma on Saturday?
We will do anything possible to make sure that to do what we can do The Syrian authorities said they would open all gates for them. I mean, they are ready to accept them and to provide any necessary assistance. We said we would together ensure their security while working there. The question, my concern is, and my hope is that they would be able to be there on time and to finish their work. That nothing prevents them from doing it.
Ambassador, did you come away from this meeting with the sense that a military action is imminent?
Look, this is not the meeting that was deciding on the military action, as you understand. But unfortunately, some of our colleagues preferred to focus on other things, pretending as if there was no threat to international peace or security, even avoiding mentioning the issue which is the most pressing one at all.
Ambassador, how might Russia react?
Sasha Laurenti,
I
a good friend of mine.
answer that question.
Ambassador, if strikes happen, how might Russia react?
Don't ask me. Ask appropriate people who know better than I do.
Mr. Ambassador, were those countries that you were just talking about that didn't want to...
We have a closed meeting, so I'd prefer to keep it, that's gentlemanly for me, not to mention them here. If we had an open briefing, you would see yourself, but you may make a wild guess.
You wanted us to ask Ambassador Laurenti Solis something. You called this meeting.
Yes.
Were you satisfied with what happened? What's your reaction to what happened?
Well, we asked for this meeting because we are concerned about these threats. And if recent history tells us something, is those threats are not just threats. A year ago, the United States also struck unilaterally Syria against the UN Charter. So we take those threats very, very seriously. And those goes against the United Nations Charter. And we, as members of the Security Council, have a responsibility not just for our own country, but we represent the whole membership. So due to that responsibility, we believe that not just the Security Council, the Secretariat and the whole system should uphold the principles of the Charter. That's why we convened this meeting.
How do you uphold the principles?
Respecting them. The first thing is that mainly the permanent members of the Security Council that have the privilege of being permanent and have the veto power, those are the ones that should lead by example, and those are the ones that should uphold the principles of the Charter at any moment, not just when it's for their own convenience. So that's the first thing. The second thing is that we need to mobilize all the system in order to uphold those principles. And right now, the main threat that we are facing is exactly these threats.
Ambassador Nebenzia, may I ask you about Skripal, please?
You're both you're on Twitter, Ambassador. Your mission is on Twitter. What would you tweet at Donald Trump today?
What
Would you
did
tweet to Donald Trump?
to Donald Trump?
To Donald Trump today?
What message
No.
would you like to send him on Twitter?
Maybe I would send him a link of the UN Charter for him to read that. Yes.
Ambassador Nebenzia,
I'm not tweeting. I don't have any idea how to tweet.
On Skripal,
You're on Twitter
the
alone.
OPCW got to some conclusions today. Does Russia accept those conclusions, or?
I saw a message that the report of the OPCW mission was sent to member states, including Russia, and the Russian authorities said that they would study it. So it's too early to say what they will reply. I haven't seen it, and it was not yet assessed.
Would you consider, Ambassador, a strike against Syria today a violation of international
We're not going to strike anyone.
No, if the U.S. strikes Russia, would that be a violation of international law in your opinion?
May again. Permit.
Would a strike by the U.S. in Syria be a violation of international law and the Charter, in your opinion?
In
your opinion?
Of course it is. Even the threat of a use of force is a violation of a charter, let alone the strike itself. Thank you very much.
We have to do everything in our power to prevent a major war.
a war that could be World War III. We need to get this message out. If you have any kind of ideas as far as funding or sponsors, please contact me. Look on the About page of this channel.